Hi, I'm Pastor Steve, and I want to talk to you just for a few minutes about the mechanics of religions in conflict and religions in unity. Religious conflict, religious unity. To share with you a few lessons that I've learned along the way. You know, I'm here in my shop, and mechanics always have interested me very much because the nut and the bolt have to fit, and if they fit, they fit. And you can't put the wrong size bolt on the wrong size nut. It won't work. But when things go together, they work very well. Now today, in our religious world, the world of faith, the world of spirituality, we unfortunately see a lot of conflict, and in various ways, that very subtle conflict that occurs in the messaging that is going forth, and it is that conflict that I would like to address. I have recently read and worked with the life story of an Indian guru whose name was Ramakrishna. And I believe Ramakrishna died in 1886, at the height of British colonialism in India. Ramakrishna had spent his life, and I believe more than about any other historic individual that I've found in recent history, he obtained God realization. God realization. That is to say that in his deep worship and meditation, he came into an encounter with the reality of the divine. And he was so deeply moved by that he went on to dive into basically every religion, all of the various culturally specific schools of Hinduism. He would participate in that school, take, if need be, years of his life to be in that study and to realize the divine by that path. Then he would do it again in another separate, distinct, culturally specific school of Hinduism. And Hinduism, India is a very large and very diverse country with all kinds of unique, culturally specific religious activities that occur in various places all around India. Then Ramakrishna went into Islam. And when he went into Islam, and he obtained the realization of the reality of Allah in that discipline. And then he went into Christianity, and he obtained God realization through the teachings of Jesus Christ. Now, my favorite, Ramakrishna had several disciples who were very, very, very devoted to him. Now, he died in the late 1880s, and there are two of his disciples that carried his work on that I would know. There was a whole bunch of them, a whole group of them, but two that really stand out to me. One of them is Vivekananda. Now, Vivekananda came to this country in the late 1800s to the World Council of Religions, and he spoke, and he really captivated a lot of audiences in the United States. And his message is a very simple message taken from Ramakrishna. He teaches that all of the world's religions are like stairways leading down to a pool of living water. That you follow this path, and this path leads you to living water, leads you to the realization of divinity, leads you to God consciousness. This was the teaching of Vivekananda. Now you can, and I would encourage you, Google Ramakrishna, Google Vivekananda, look at their story. It's an amazing, amazing story from, about 140 years ago. Now, the other guru that I personally identify with and really feel strongly attached to is Ramakrishna Nanda. That's Ramakrishna Nanda. He came to be a disciple of Ramakrishna as Ramakrishna was nearing the end of his life. And he attended to him to his every need as Ramakrishna passed away. He was there during the last years of Ramakrishna's life and imbibed his teachings. And then after Ramakrishna died, Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Nanda, and several others went to a place in, I believe it's Kolkata, and they established a monastery there. But they had no money at all. So they went in this dilapidated, abandoned mansion that they were able to rent for almost nothing. And they set up their operation there. Now, Vivekananda was called to travel across the world. He came to the United States and became extremely famous and made all these connections, which you can study in his prominent role. Ramakrishna Nanda stayed with the holy relics of Ramakrishna, the relics of his life, the relics and of his body. And he had a statue of Ramakrishna Nanda, and he had it set up there in this desperately abandoned mansion. And when the rains came, when the monsoons came, the roof leaked, and he sat up all night, if necessary, just holding an umbrella over the sacred relics and over the image of Ramakrishna Nanda. That's how devoted he was. He gave his life. I believe that in that context, Ramakrishna Nanda would catch the disease that he would eventually succumb to, which would be tuberculosis, and he would die in 1911. But what I remember about him is his profound and powerful and amazing devotion to his faith. And that, friends, is what I want to encourage everyone who watches this to do and to be devoted to your faith. And I want to tell you two totally paradoxical things. First thing I'm going to tell you is your faith is the greatest. It's the best. You have it. Why is that? Because it's yours. And you are a child of the divine, a child of God, for whom heaven and earth came into existence. You're the reason all this around you is going on. And your faith is your faith. And faith is more than doctrine. Faith is more than religion. Every human being has faith. Your faith is your deeply held set of beliefs that you hold regarding everything that happens in your life. The people you meet, the decisions you make, the places you go, the stuff that fills your life. All of that, you have to have deeply held beliefs about it. And your beliefs are your beliefs, and they need to be validated and celebrated and I would encourage your devotion to them. Now, there are groups, and I encourage you, find your peeps, find your people, find the group of individuals that are like-minded to how you feel and think, and then go ahead and follow that faith. That having been said, I want to share with you some words that Jesus spoke. Jesus is very important in my faith, and he said these words. He said, and I'm reading here from Matthew chapter 7, verse, just the end of verse 6, chapter 6, the beginning of chapter 7, 7:1. Judge not, or do not judge, that you will not be judged. Judge not, that ye be not judged. For the judgment by which you judge, you will be judged. You will be judged by the judgment with which you judge others. So if we are in the habit of pointing to other people's faith and saying, well, that's deficient, that's incorrect, that's wrong, they shouldn't be doing that, and casting all these aspersions on that faith, Jesus says, in the measure by which you measure, it'll be measured back to you. The measure you measure forth will be measured back to you. And so what that means is that the world doesn't need our judgment. And nobody needs our condemnation. We have to accept them. We have to accept them all. And we have to accept them as they are and not be judging, this one's good, that one's bad, this one's good, this one's bad. And I'm probably as guilty about this as anybody, because I watch a lot of this stuff, especially online, a lot of this stuff that's out there. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And we all have to not do that. We have to allow ourselves to celebrate all of it, consecrate it by your faith, bless it by your faith. Everybody is where they are for a reason, and that reason is to be validated and accepted. And so I hope you can use this to both validate your own personal faith, whatever it is, wherever you got it, however your growing up situation has brought you to be who you are, that you would validate that you would look around the world and realize that maybe I could use some help with, getting connected with some people so that we can validate and support one another. That you could stay away from casting a lot of condemnation and negativity and judgment on things. Just let it go. Let it be exactly what it is. If you have found this to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to this channel. If you give it a little thumbs up, give it a little heart, get the word out that we are doing. What I am attempting to do is an outreach beyond the walls of the church. I am an ordained minister. It's Saturday when I'm taping this. I'll be preaching on Sunday morning. My mission right now is not calling people to my church. That's doing fine on its own. What I want to do is reach beyond the confines of doctrine, beyond the confines of dogma, to humanity, to bring everyone some practical spiritual guidance. So our website is pastorsteve.faith. And thank you so much for watching this.